My name is Mike Munzing with CRESTLINE Funding. It's time again for another market update. This is one where I'm finally standing up, not sitting, kind of having fun here. A couple of you at the meetings this week said, I was afraid you were going to tip over. So we're trying something new. I've got some new equipment, some new camera equipment, and it's an exciting time. It is time again for the foreclosure report. We're going to cover some interesting numbers. I've been predicting a lot of things over the last year or so, and things are changing just a bit. A lot of government intervention, we've been talking about that, and that is affecting the markets as well. But what we're going to be covering is the California foreclosure report for the month of December, last month, and how it applies and how it affects all of us. Over here, let me grab some of these reports here. Up on the screen, I'm going to bring you the foreclosure radar report. It's on my website. It is linked onto this video on YouTube over here on the side, and you can print that up. You can print up the 5 pages. You got pages 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Let's go back to the front page. You can see here that it covers a lot of the different aspects of what happened this month. Let's go over really quickly here, but you may want to pause this video, print that report out, and let's go along with this together. What's happened is, and the first thing I'm going to bring up here is the first chart, the charts for the notice of defaults, that first recording in the month. And as you can see here, let me flip over to the chart here. As you can see, it's had a substantial drop. It says 17.5%. I'm going to quickly cover a couple of things as far as the month of December had 22 days of potential recordings in it, where the previous month had about 18 days. So on average, I'm going to give you a secondary percentage. That's 32.5% drop in foreclosures for, the notice of default for the month of December from the previous month. The 17.5% was a total month, but on a day-to-day, daily average, it's up to about 32.5%. The next spreadsheet I want to bring up, next graph, is the notice of trustee sale. Now that is the second stage of the foreclosures. That too has dropped about 23% on a daily basis, just under 6% for the month. We're seeing a lot of this government intervention is stepping in and holding off the foreclosures. So they're keeping the properties from actually going through the foreclosure process. We're going to cover a little more about that in a minute here. Next is the properties that have gone back to the bank. REOs, they went to foreclosure auction, nobody bought them there, they went back to the bank. That dropped about 11.9% on a monthly basis, about 28% on the daily basis, and as you can see, that's been tailing off there. Kind of been dropping throughout the year. Next would be the cancellations. Now this is an interesting number. Obama, the administration, trying to encourage the cancellations of the foreclosures. They're trying to encourage folks to do short sales, the lenders to do short sales, trying to keep folks in their homes. I've got mixed feelings on that. I think we've talked about that before. Many of you know my position on that. But the short sales are accomplishing that as well. Now that's 26.5% for the month, but once it adjusted on a daily basis, that's only an increase of about 3.5%. It kind of works the other direction when it's an increase. Next is the REOs actually sold to our investors. The investors, third-party investors, the folks are seeing going to the steps of the courthouse is right here, and that has been a drastic drop of about 11.99%. A huge drop. This is one of the biggest numbers we're seeing in this month's report, is that the sales to third-party investors at the steps of the courthouse has dropped about 41.8% on a daily basis. What's happened is the lenders are not discounting the properties nearly as much as they were in the past. So these investors are not seeing that they're getting as much of a deal with FHA and the 90-day flip rule. They can't turn these properties around as quickly either. So that's been a problem. That's with FHA, not with Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac. I've got one of those in escrow right now for Fannie Mae. It's just been about a month and everything seems to be fine. But FHA, which is most of the lower end properties are going FHA, 90 days before they can even enter contract off the purchase at the steps of the courthouse. Next is a new number. Now this is interesting. This is a number that Sean O'Toole over at Foreclosure Radar, first month they've come out with this number. It's going to be very informative. This is the total properties in a pre-foreclosure status, i.e. after the notice of default's been filed. We look at the month-to-month basis, but this gives you a total volume of these properties that are still out there, still waiting to go to foreclosure. You can see we had a real ramp up, and now it's kind of leveled off at a level of about 265,459 properties as of the end of December. Still in that process. Notice of default's been filed. The notice of trustee sale has not been filed, so the next step has not happened, and that's been a fairly much a growing number, but it has leveled off. What's important to take away from those numbers is that the government is trying to hold back the foreclosing of a lot of the properties that are getting into distress, getting into trouble. And that leads us into the next information I want to cover today. I know I've mentioned Stephen Thomas quite a bit. He's one of the owners of a local real estate company. I won't go into detail on that. Stephen's a good guy, great economist, very much a statistician, and does a lot of statistical analysis. A lot of you get his reports. You can find his reports on my website. In no way meaning to endorse his company. He just does a great job. Information that you and I can use, information that gets a lot of good facts and figures and numbers so we can track that and know what our market's doing. You can never have enough good information out there, guys. It doesn't matter where it comes from. You know, some of you use me, others of you don't. I love when you do. That's how I get paid, is taking care of your borrowers. But I don't mind if you use my information to benefit yourself, even if you're not using me. I'm a community guy. I've been out here 20 years. I've been doing loans in Orange County for a long, long time. I'm just one of the guys out here who wants to do a good job for you and get information out to you. Hey, let's go back to Stephen's report here. There's a little picture of Stephen on the web page here. But up behind me, this is what his report looks like here. And you can print it, you can break it down, you can look at it yourself. Let's look at a couple of things here. He makes a comment that the wave of foreclosures that we were expecting isn't going to come around. He also mentions that the lenders are also jumping on board the short sales. 2010 is going to be the year of the short sale. Stephen lists a lot of information on his report here that mentions that short sales are far better than foreclosures because the property is maintained. It's less drastic for the seller or the person leaving the property. The properties stay well maintained. They don't get run down. And overall is a better way to go. They are getting their systems down. The lenders are working very hard to get their short sale systems down so you don't have these 6 months plus waiting periods. We can get them done in a fairly short amount of time, in a much more reasonable amount of time. And the government's really jumping behind that. Now, the interesting thing is the demand has really been jumping up for the first part of this year. I know I've been talking to a lot of you. We've got a lot of new buyers, and that's interesting. Stephen reads it as the highest demand since 2004. Very interesting numbers here. Let me run down kind of on the market. We've got a light inventory right now. Only about 7,293 properties in Orange County specific. This is specific Orange County. In Orange County, 7,293. But of that, 2,555 properties are distressed, and that's still 35% of the market. Of that, though, only 375 of those properties are foreclosures, and 2,180 are the short sales, and that is that's a much larger number, obviously. Hey, we're into the new year. It is halfway through the first month, crazy, and I want to be here for you. Be here for your buyers. We've got some great new deals coming down the pipe. Some of you have been calling me. We've got some great buyers out there. Very impressed. And most of you have seen my online application. I'll bring it up here on the screen. It's been very effective getting your clients there, having them fill that out. Some of you fill it out for them. It comes to me. We can pull their credit, get them ready to go right away, and get them in escrow. Call me. I'm at 949-689-5626. Go to my website at www.corp.com. shop.mikemunzing.com. I'm here for you. I'm here for your buyers. Once again, 20 years in lending, making good videos, good information, getting it to you. Let's work together. God bless you. God bless your families. God bless America. Give me a call this week and I'll be working. Bye-bye.